Bend over to your right.
What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of the Nicholas Moriano Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Moriano. Hey, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Only if you feel like I've earned that after this show. I'm going to steal that from Tim Jenkins, who I respect the hell out of, does great stuff on YouTube, breaking down quarterback play. But I heard him say that in one of his, or I think he says that at the beginning of each one of his episodes. And I'm like, you know what? I like that. I'm not going to tell you to do something if you don't feel like, one, you need to do it. But if I earn that like, earn that comment, earn that subscribe, a subscriber count, like, hey, then you can give it to me afterwards. But I appreciate everyone for being here. We're Thursday night, a little bit ahead of Thursday night football, where we got the Bills, Houston Texans. Personally, I think the Bills are going to, I don't know if smoke the Texans, but I can foresee that happening there in Houston. But I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about Thursday, the injury report, the latest injury report, some things I learned in the locker room, and talk a little bit about pocket depth and how I think that's going to be a huge component of what ultimately happens on Sunday at Soldier Field. Bears, I almost want to say Packers for some reason because Aaron Rodgers element, but Bears, Steelers, Soldier Field, and what should be a fun Week 12 matchup there. But I think we got to start with these injuries, man. And I think this is the main reason why I wanted to come on here and just talk some Bears football with you guys, because I'm looking at this injury report and man, it's not great. I can tell you that. And it's only Thursday, and obviously things can change from here until Sunday. But I want to see if I can quickly just share my screen to see if we can, I have the injury report, the Bears communications. If you're not following them on Twitter, it's definitely a good follow to just stay up to date on, everything you're seeing from the Bears and what's going on. Perfect. Let's see. I'll click on this to make it even a little bit bigger. Doesn't really help, honestly, at all. And I'm seeing some people's comments there. Actually, there's Windy City Sports Cards. Hey, look at that. Those are my guys. You already know. 312. WindyCitySportsCards.com. My guys there. That's perfect. It's perfect advertisement there. But let me see if I can do this. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how much bigger it's getting on your screen, but I'll read it because there are audio listeners to this as well. So just from reading from top to bottom and what their injury designation is going into the week, Tremaine Edmunds, groin, did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. It's not great. TJ Edwards, hand and hamstring, also DNPs on Wednesday and Thursday. TJ Edwards, I haven't heard anything, but if I'm expecting who's going to be in and out, TJ Edwards is someone I'm not expecting to play on Sunday. Travis Homer, hamstring, knee, went from limited to DNP. Never a good sign, you guys. Roshan Johnson, thumb, didn't have any injury designation on Wednesday, and then a DNP on Thursday. Noah Sewell, the elbow, DNP Wednesday and Thursday. Did see Noah Sewell in the locker room, kind of just walking around. Didn't see anything on his elbow. So take that for what it is. Joe Tooney, rest, DNP, not concerned there. Theo Benedet, though. You have the quad injury, had no injury designation on Wednesday, then becomes limited on Thursday. Something to monitor there, to be completely honest. Something to monitor. Drew Dahlman, the knee, limited. I know my guy Scott Bear was talking to him in the locker room for a story he's working on. Not concerned there, just my opinion. Kyler Gordon with the calf injury, limited both days. So I think trending in the right direction. Tyreek Stevenson spoke to the media in a scrum today. Hip and calf, limited both days. Darnell Wright. So we had a pectoral injury on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you have pectoral and back. and both limited. That's again, something to monitor. I don't want to freak out anybody. And then here's where, it does turn a little bit positive here. Jaquan Brisker, full participant with the shoulder injury. Kevin Byard, a full participant. Grady Jarrett, full. Jalen Johnson, full participant, you guys. And DeAndre Swift, full participant. Here we go. We'll get out of this shared screen. That's the injury report, though. Latest one. So I don't know if you guys saw it's kind of going viral with DeAndre Swift, where it looks like the Vikings in the last game are pointing to Colston Loveland, who they believe committed a false start. If you watch the All-22, there's like a small shift from Colston. He makes a little move, and the Vikings are asking him to go like, hey, this dude just false started. But at the same time, you see DeAndre Swift kind of does this motion in the backfield. I thought it was hilarious. I know SportsCenter picked that up and made it a thing. Tried to see if DeAndre Swift would talk about it, doing like the All-22 that I do on my phone to, get, just their perspective on things. He wasn't all for it. So there's that. But it was pretty funny to see that. But getting back to serious stuff, the injury report. Your top 3 linebackers did not practice on Thursday. That's, there is obviously areas for concern, especially I think with this week's opponent, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Warren, the running back, physical runner, runs people over, he wants to lower the shoulder. And if you're not having some of your top linebackers in the game, that's not great. You also have, obviously, like I said, TJ Edwards. I just don't expect to play. I haven't seen him. I believe I saw Tremaine Edmunds on Wednesday for a brief moment, but I have not seen TJ in a while. Like I said, I saw Noah Sewell in the locker room today, but I didn't see him out on the practice field. So if you're looking at, okay, well, hypothetically, you don't have your top 3 linebackers. Who do you have? Well, you have Amen Angbangmamiga. He would be, I think, one of your first people that's going to step in place. I'm blanking on the Bears linebacker that committed the penalty. No, I'll get the roster real quick because now I'm blanking on names here. But Angbangmamiga would be one, obviously. Linebacker, looking at it. DeMarco Jackson would also be a candidate there. Ruben Hippolyte. But I do expect Noah Sewell, I think, to suit up. And I have a feeling that Tremaine Edmunds will suit up. But again, haven't heard anything. But just, like I said, things to monitor when you have all 3 of your top linebackers not practicing on a Thursday. And then the offensive tackles. Theo Benedet not having injury designation on Wednesday, then becoming limited on Thursday with the quad. Not a fan. Right? Not a fan. So we'll see how that progresses, especially this week. I mean, I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Theo Benedet on, against these pass rushers that can get off the ball quickly. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, like all those guys have quick get-offs. And the word that Ben Johnson described them as is werewolves. They have some werewolves on the outside. Yeah, they can get after the quarterback. So whether Theo Benedet was fully healthy or not, this is going to be a tough matchup for him. But that injury designation kind of going in the wrong way doesn't help. And then Darnell Wright with the pec and back. He was in the locker room. I know on Wednesday he was shooting some hoops in the middle of the locker room, and he was there for a brief amount of time in today's practice, or not today's practice, but today's just locker room session. Limited, but it's just going to be a tough task, I think, for these Bears offensive tackles going up, like I said, against some really capable pass rushers for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I wrote a story about pocket depth and Caleb Williams, and I mentioned those 3 pass rushers in my story right at the top, like TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, and Alex Highsmith have combined for 18 of the team's 33 total tackles, and the trio has accounted for 90 total quarterback pressures. They're getting it done up front, or are able to apply pressure. And actually, when I watched the game against the Cincinnati Bengals that the Steelers played last week, they had 1 sack, I think 16 total quarterback pressures. So didn't bring down Joe Flacco, a very not mobile quarterback, as much as I thought, but it'll be interesting to see that matchup against Caleb Williams, his ability to escape when pressure is there. So going to be fun to watch. I saw one of these comments here really quickly. Yeah, here we go. And are you wearing Meta Ray-Bans and an ear pod? I am, but the Meta, actually, I think these are on, but they're not. They're connected to my phone, so it doesn't really matter. And then the ear pod, I just like listening to the intro. I like listening to it and then knowing when to go live. But hey, Meta, are the Bears going to be all right on Sunday with all their injuries? Maybe you can hear this. I don't know if you can hear that, but I have in my ear Keegan-Michael Key as the voice for the Ray-Ban Metas. I don't know why, but I do. But he did say there are some key injuries for the Bears heading into their matchup against the Steelers, which he's right. But yeah, side note, let's get off of that. What I want to get into next, as we kind of go into what I was learning from Thursday at Halas Hall, you got a chance to hear from the coordinators, Dennis Allen, Declan Doyle, and then Richard Hightower. And I want to focus here on Declan Doyle and this ability or this idea of depth of the pocket for Caleb Williams, because I think this is going to be a key thing going into this matchup. Because like I was just saying, what the Pittsburgh Steelers pass rushers like to do is use that speed off the edge. So they're not necessarily denting the pocket. They're able to get around. And if you're a quarterback that's not disciplined with your pocket depth, and what that means here, essentially, this is what it means. I mean, must play at the proper depth required on a specific concept. 5-step, 7-step, whatever drop it is, you need to be exactly there. And if you're any further back, that is where you can get not only Caleb Williams himself in trouble, but you can put the tackles in some really crappy situations. If you go further back in depth from what is required on a specific play. What Declan Doyle said, he highlighted what could happen if Williams really isn't disciplined in this area of the game. And he said, the Pittsburgh edge rushers, can get to the top of the pocket pretty quickly. And so you've got to make sure that as the quarterback continues to lose depth, you start to put the tackles in a challenging position where they don't know where the quarterback is. They're always trying to put themselves between the rusher and the ball. And so the deeper you get, the harder that becomes on the tackles. Makes sense, right? So that's why all these details matter, right? This is where you need to be on this drop. Any further back, you're putting your tackles in jeopardy. You're putting your health in jeopardy with guys that can rush the quarterback like the Pittsburgh Steelers can. And so I wanted to also talk to, because on Thursdays we do not get an opportunity to talk to Caleb Williams. He speaks on Wednesdays, but do get opportunities to talk to Tyson Bagent, who I've always enjoyed talking to Bagent. And I just asked him, like, what does that mean, depth of pocket, for you, for your perspective? What can you tell me about it? And he said, usually if you're past 10 yards, it's kind of the dangerous zone, especially with good edge rushers. And it really just relates to anytime we're in gun, 5-step, feel where you get to be conscious of not to have huge steps getting back there. If you do, just really an emphasis of stepping up in the pocket. Okay. And then what I thought was insightful also from Tyson Bagent, he said that when they're watching film, right, Bears quarterback room watching film, and they see a drop that's beyond that 10-yard mark, which he, again, called basically the danger zone, going Top Gun here. They'll pause the tape and kind of address the problem right then and there, not letting anything slide by, which we know last year for this Bears team, that was an issue. address the problem where it lies so it doesn't continue happening for the rest of the season. Um, what I also thought was, I think, key and what the Bears will most likely do on Sunday, the Bears obviously being at home at Soldier Field, there's ways to mitigate this pass rush just by solely being at home. One, you can use that verbal cadence and switch it up. Being at home, you're not going to have the crowd to deal with when you're on offense. So, yeah, use that cadence. So you want to see that voice inflection from Caleb Williams. We all know on the other side that Aaron Rodgers has done that so well, right? Getting defenders to jump off sides and taking advantage of it. But you can use your voice as a weapon in this one. And I think Caleb needs to do that. But also just using tempo, right? Using the no huddle. That can allow the offense to be in attack mode and kind of put the defense in the pass rush on their heels. So there's different ways to combat a quick get off from an opposing pass rush. And those are just some of the ways that Tyson Bagent shared with me. And then another, I think, key area to be aware of in this one is Caleb's ability to avoid sacks. What that also does, because Caleb's been elite at avoiding sacks, right? But it's also allowed him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer than he would like. And according to Next Gen Stats, he has the highest time to throw among quarterbacks with at least 90 pass attempts with 3.24 seconds. So that's the most I believe out of 35 qualified quarterbacks. He's dead last. And again, there's the route concepts, avoiding sacks, throwing the ball on time and in rhythm. They all contribute to that time to throw stat. But in the opposite end of it, Aaron Rodgers is number one. Don't have the exact time, but he gets the ball out quicker than anybody. And so that's where I think it's going to be interesting for this Bears pass rush too. So does Caleb Williams' ability to avoid sacks impact, the depth of pocket? Declan Doyle also was asked this question, and here was his answer verbatim. It doesn't change from this week to when we started training camp, Doyle said. So on any given concept, we're going to expect him, Williams, at a certain yardage. And if he's beyond that, he needs to be stepping up into the pocket. And that's why the interior portion of the protection is really important as well, to be able to establish an area that he could step into and still keep his eyes downfield. That's also huge. Keanu Benton, former Wisconsin Badger, right? He was somebody I was looking into in the draft a couple years ago. He's been having a pretty darn good season. Can't allow those guys in the interior to dent this pocket. Hayward, or guys like that to dent the pocket, because then you're not allowing Caleb to climb. Then what is he doing? Most likely, if he's not climbing, he's drifting back. And that's where you can allow those, as Ben Johnson said, those werewolves to go in, attack, and potentially get some sacks on Caleb Williams. So it's going to be this is going to be a really good test for Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, this Bears offensive line, interior to out, to see what they do and how they're able to combat an obvious strength for the Steelers, and just, right now, some injured offensive tackles for the Bears. I'm really curious to see how that matchup plays out. You know what? This is a great question here. I'm going into the chat here. Nick, do we know what Declan Doyle does? What the top two things he does? I'm so glad. So I'm glad you asked that. And I didn't get a chance to ask him in his press conference today. But I did want to ask him something along the lines. And let me know if you think this is a stupid question. Like, on game day, what is your task? Like, who are you communicating with? Because Declan Doyle, he's in the booth. So he's upstairs in the booth. And then obviously he's communicating to people. But I'm curious too, like you, who? Like, how frequently is he communicating with? I don't know. Is it with Ben? Is it with multiple position coaches on the offense? Like, how does that work? So I'm glad that you brought it up, and I'll definitely make sure to ask this next week just to kind of, because I'm curious too, like you, what exactly is he doing on a game day? What does that look like for him? And I'm sure it changes week to week, game to game, and maybe if there's more emphasis on a certain whatever it may be. Like I'm sure those tasks change, but he works in the preparation of the leading up to that game for that week, watching a lot of film to give to Ben Johnson so that you can find matchups and things like that. But it is a great question. And I'm glad you're curious about it because I was thinking the same thing and I should have asked it when I was there earlier today. So that's on me, but I will make sure to definitely ask that next week just to kind of detail what it's like. What are you doing? Um, and really quickly here, just kind of wrapping up. Didn't want to take too much time here. I'll do a prediction show either tomorrow or Saturday as we get closer and closer to game day because I still want to watch a little bit more tape from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll tell you right now, I'm not impressed. Like nothing has really struck me about their offense in the last 2 weeks. That those are only 2 games I can really speak of. And yes, Rodgers did get hurt at the end. You have Mason Rudolph coming in, but go back and watch the first half of the Pittsburgh Steelers game against the Chargers. Aaron Rodgers looked terrible. Terrible. He was overthrowing, underthrowing. He was sacked in the end zone by Khalil Mack for a safety. Like it looked like a 40, what is he, 41, 42-year-old? I think I know his birthday is December 2nd because I was doing a lot of research on Rodgers this week, 2 days before my birthday. But yeah, he just looked like a quarterback that was older. And I know he's getting the ball out quickly, you guys. And that's why I'm also curious when Dennis Allen was talking, like that was one of the traits that he highlighted from Aaron Rodgers. And he also said he still moves pretty well. Like debatable. But he does get the ball out quickly. So how do you get to a quarterback and utilize your pass rush who has struggled for a majority of the season to get to the quarterback when there is a signal caller on the opposite side that's getting the ball out as quickly as he is? That's the chess match, right? And I'm sure Dennis Allen's all for it. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is all for it, but that's going to be one that, will play a big factor in this game. And anytime you can get Washington, they're gigantic, tight. I was looking at the size of Washington, Steelers, Darnell Washington. I don't know why I was playing his first name, but the dude is okay. So good. I'm glad I got hit this 6'7", 264. Massive human being for as athletic as he is to move and to truck people and to stiff arm. Very impressive. You don't have your starting linebackers in this one. Man, DBs better be ready to tackle whoever's available. I was like, I forgot who I was talking to, but I was like kind of joking, like, when's the last time maybe Jaquan Brisker has ever just played linebacker? Like back in high school, like full-time linebacker? I have no idea. But I think you're gonna see, I believe you're going to see Jaquan Brisker in the box a lot more in this game. Just have a physical presence on Warren, the running back. DK Metcalf's a big receiver as well. But Washington, you just don't want to get Washington out in the flat with a DB. You just don't want that. And you cannot have the effort that the Cincinnati Bengals showed because that was pathetic. It truly was. You see that run by Washington. I know he's a big human being out in space. Cincinnati's been awful all year defensively, but you can't have that. And I don't think the Bears will at Soldier Field, knowing that they are 7-3 on top of the NFC North, need this one to keep momentum going for them. I don't think you're going to see that, but whenever you don't have as much quality talent on defense because of injury, the margin for error becomes a lot smaller, but also you're just accounting for other players who really have to step up, make secure tackles, especially if you get some open receivers at some point in the game. Chicago Sports Podcast. Appreciate the super chat here. 199. Great job, Nicholas. Thanks for keeping us. Thanks for keeping the info. You got it. No problem. Really quickly before I head out, though, because like I said, I'm not going to do any predictions yet. Not the time, not the day, not yet. But I do want to just, all right, Windy City Sports Cards popped up earlier in the show, but you got to check them out. I mean, I have my Windy City Sports Card right there. If I'm doing that right in the camera, my hat that I should wear more often, but I think it just looks so cool on the backdrop there. But Windy City Sports Cards, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. So whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or the Blackhawks, they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. So in addition to those Chicago focused items, everybody, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. So visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or to simply discover a new favorite. Check them out at 312-WindyCitySportsCards.com. That's 312-WindyCitySportsCards.com. All right, everybody. I think we're going to close it out here, but just some updates from Halas Hall. What I'm hearing, what the injury report is right now as we finish recording 7/22. Thursday Night Football starting. So everybody go enjoy that. If you have any bets, you should have shared them with me because I'm terrible at making bets. I didn't even check my fantasy lineup. I don't believe I have anybody, but to be completely honest, I've been crapping fantasy all year. Actually, this year I'm actually doing a little bit better than usual, but I don't think it would have mattered anyway. So everybody enjoy the rest of the week. Like I said, I'll have a preview show giving you my final prediction for this week 12 matchup between the Bears and most likely Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. But until next time, actually, before I close out, if I've earned that like, earned that comment, earned that subscriber button, let me know. Show me some love here at the end. If not, I have another opportunity next time I get on here and talk some Bears football. But that's going to do it, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I will see you soon. But until next time, adios, Bears fans. Bend over to your right.
What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.